from a wet, rain-drenched Chennai. Welcome to the presentation of PII-ICRC Awards 2020. And I'm particularly delighted to welcome Mr. Yahya Alibi, who heads the regional delegation of the ICRC in Delhi. Thank you very much for being here with us this afternoon. And it's good to have you with us at this program. This, incidentally, is the 14th edition of the PII-ICRC Awards. And over the years, we've seen some excellent entries, excellent articles, excellent pictures from journalists, from photographers working for news publishing houses and photojournalists. I must point out that over the last few years, the PII-ICRC Awards have grown in stature, and this year has been no exception. We've received some excellent entries, and we will hear more about that from the members of the jury as we go along. This is only a reflection of the hard work that journalists, photojournalists, photographers put in. It's a reflection of the legwork they do, a reflection of the kind of research they often do. Also, a reflection of the passion and enthusiasm they show to bring stories out in the forefront and to newspapers across India every day, morning, and of course to magazines and on websites as well. It also shows that good journalism, and I'm sure all of you understand what I mean by good journalism. It shows that good journalism is alive and is fairly well in what we all do agree, I'm sure, are very troubled times. This awards program, incidentally, also is a sort of flagship program for both the ICRC in Delhi and also for the Press Institute of India in Madras. But more than this program being flagship, etc., what gives both of us, both the organizations, immense pleasure is the fact that we are able to do our small bit to recognize the efforts of journalists, to motivate them, to enthuse them, and to do a little bit for all that they do in producing what surely is sometimes remarkable and outstanding work. So this program really, more than the discussion that we might have soon, etc., is a celebration of sorts for journalists who go out there and do their job without fuss. Before I go on, let me take pleasure in inviting Mr. Yahya Alibi to say a few words. And before that, Let me introduce him to you. Mr. Alibi is the head of the regional delegation of the International Committee of the Red Cross for India, Nepal, Bhutan, and the Maldives. From 2015 to 2019, Mr. Alibi was head of the regional delegation for GCC countries for the ICRC in Kuwait. Before that, he had covered Kenya, Somalia, and Uganda as deputy head of operations from the ICRC headquarters in Geneva. And as part of the ICRC, Mr. Alibi has served in Yemen, Libya, Congo, Jordan, Sudan, and Baghdad, and also in India earlier during 2009 and 11. Born in Tunisia, Mr. Alibi graduated in political science from the University of Aix-en-Provence in France. Over to you, Mr. Alibi, for your keynote.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Nair. Thank you for your nice and kind words and for this excellent opening statement. And please convey my greetings to Chennai and people of Chennai from the dry Delhi. Thank you all, and on behalf of the ICRC regional delegation here in Delhi, covering Maldives, Nepal, and Bhutan also, I would like, I'm happy, let me express how I'm happy to be with you today, and I'm happy to welcome all of you to this ceremony and this award. This is the 40th one, actually, and Mr. Nair was telling it's a flagship for the ICRC and the Press Institute of India. Indeed, it's one of our most successful and flagship events every year. This year, I think the timing is, as you know, we have been through this crisis affecting each one of us, private, professional lives, and also every sector of lives, actually. That's why I'm happy that the choice was done and was made to choose and select this timely thematic to reward the superheroes that are battling on the front lines in these times of crisis. As you have mentioned, Mr. Director, for almost now 15 years, through these awards, the ICRC and the Press Institute of India have been actually recognizing and honoring India media professionals who have and worked, who have made documentation and documented human touch stories and on various humanitarian issues and concerns. It's a reward to those who made, I would say, the extra mile to go from their comfort zone to cover underreported, sometimes forgotten, ignored crisis stories, and many of them, and sometimes and often, I would say, have taken risks to give voice to communities who need to be heard. These awards actually are, let's say, a small token of recognition, of appreciation for the commitment of journalists to keep the people and their needs at the heart of their stories. At a time where the world is impacted by this crisis, health crisis, and COVID-19 pandemic, which huge consequences, far-reaching consequences, deepening other crises, including armed conflicts, natural disasters, climate risks. We owe, all of us, recognition to the journalists that are often present on ground zero for their unfailing commitment to put a spotlight and to convey the voices that many communities and that humankind is facing. Their reportage actually gives a human story, human touch, but also put some faces behind the figures, behind the numbers, and serves as an important reminder of the extraordinary resilience everywhere within communities and their capacity to resist and to be resilient and to be first responder, because always we ignore this, the first responders are the communities themselves. The coming year is also, that we will be coming with full of challenges for everybody. We will be struggling, and everywhere, every country will be struggling in terms of meeting the COVID-19 vaccination with all the challenges that comes with it. The procurement process, the global supply chain, the fair access to this vaccine, and preservation of the transportation and all the logistics hurdle. And here I do think also that the media and journalists would play a critical role. This year, the world hold really special significance. It's unprecedented because this crisis, as we salute and pay deepest and warm regard to the hundreds of thousands of healthcare personnel, frontline workers everywhere, Red Cross volunteers, and all the first responders who continue actually to make sacrifices to save people's lives and bring critical relief to those affected. And they will continue to do so in the coming months with the vaccination. Let me just mention that a few words about the ICRC here. We have been working with our partner everywhere, actually, with the National Society of the Red Cross and Red Crescent societies. In India, the Indian Red Cross Society, it's our primary partners. They have been actually, we were just supporting their work, able to provide help and support to millions of people affected to due to this pandemic through the huge network of volunteers across the more than 500 districts of India, of this country. Let me, before closing this statement, maybe invite you to make 2 stops with me and to reflect on them. The first one, and where the media should and is playing and should and must play a critical role. The first one, and emerging issues we saw last year, unfortunately, during the COVID, this crisis, we have been everywhere witnessing unfortunate incident targeting frontline workers and health personnel and their families. They have been subjected in many cases not only to stigma and discrimination, but also to a violent attack on their safety. The stigmatization, this is the issue where all committed journalists are playing and will play a critical role, I think. And we have really to take this opportunity on behalf of the ICRC, but I think you will all join me to strongly reiterate that to effectively deal with the unfolding crisis and provide the minimum and critical care to those in need, frontline workers, health workers. Just applauding them is not enough. And health facilities and personnel must be able to carry out their work and their duty without any threat for their life, their work, their system work, and for their safety. The protection and the support to the health workers is of paramount importance. The second point I want you to share with you, and here also I see a critical role for the journalists. It's the need more than ever of reliable fact, science-based information. We have been talking, some have been talking about, we have the pandemic, but also we have the infodemic. And with all this conspiracy theory, the questioning of institution and fake news, I think the year 2020 will be reminded as having underscored the role and the responsibility of the media to bring fact-based information to disseminate the reliable information. I would like finally to again thank you to all the participants, to congratulate them and congratulate the winner of this competition, and of course to express my warm thanks to our long-standing partners, especially the Press Institute of India. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your support. I will be with you the whole session, and I'm looking forward for sustaining the partnership, Mr. Nair, and continuing to reward and recognize the good and critical and life sometimes saving work done by the media persons. Thank you. Have a nice session, and I'm with you for the rest of this session today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alibi. You made some pertinent points there. Of course, all our hearts go out to people who are at the front lines, not only journalists, but all those who are putting their lives at stake, especially doctors, nurses, paramedics, ambulance drivers, etc., who are driven by some fire that tells them that this is something they have to do. At the same time, they know very well that it is very risky, but yet they go ahead and do it. So I salute to all of them. And I'm sure we are still looking at challenging times, even in 2021, although it's easy for us, it might be easy for us to say that 2020 has been a terrible year and we'll get over with it and the good times will begin soon. But that, as we all know, is unlikely to happen, with the vaccines still not really out there for people to get. And we do not even know which are the vaccines that are going to come out and how many people are going to get, although the Prime Minister, I think this morning did mention that everyone would be taken care of, and we hope that will happen, but all this will take time. So your points are well made, and of course you mentioned the aspect about fake news, misinformation, disinformation that rages, especially when we have disasters, pandemics, and difficult times like this. Very difficult for journalists to get through the morass of what is good and bad and then try and bring out only the good. So let's hope that they will be able to pursue the profession with more zeal as we go ahead. So thank you very much, Mr. Alibi. I'll now move on to the customary panel discussion that we usually have But before that, I must just point out, although I think it's been, sort of put out on the screens here, that you can tweet at the hashtag ICRC PII Awards, which will flash on the screens, or must have flashed already if I hadn't seen it. So that is something I just wish to mention. This is also being streamed live on the PII Rind Facebook page and also on YouTube. You just have to type PII-RIND and you will be able to see the program. So let me now welcome the members of our jury. All senior journalists who've gone through all the entries, and needless to say, they must have faced a difficult task in shortlisting before deciding on the eventual winners. It's a fairly good panel we have, and we have an excellent jury team this year. Let me first of all introduce the senior most in the jury team, Ranjita Biswas. Ranjita is there on the screen. I can see her. Ranjita, thank you first of all for very readily agreeing to be a part of the PII-ICRC Awards this year. I must tell you that I have seen your byline when I was in college in Calcutta many years ago. And of course, I have read you often. And it was a pleasure when I eventually got you to write for our journals. I'm very happy you're here and you're on the panel. Ranjita Biswas has more than 30 years of experience as a journalist. I think that's a little less. I'm sure she's had a few more years. She's worked with the Financial Express and the Telegraph, both in Kolkata. Ranjita writes mostly on women and gender issues, on issues relating to the environment, to art and culture and travel. She's also, among the awards she's received, been the recipient of the Ladli Media Award in 2012 for the Eastern region. She says she combines writing with media advocacy and is part of the guest faculty of several media schools. A postgraduate of comparative literature from Jadavpur University. She also writes stories for children, and lately she's also turned author. So best wishes to you, and I'm happy you're here. Jaya Sridhar has been on our panel before. She's been on the jury in earlier years, I think once or twice, if I remember right. Is Jaya here? I don't see her.
I think my video is disabled.
Can someone enable that, please? Ashish, Akriti, can you get that sorted out? Is it visible now? I don't see you.
Yes, I can unmute myself, but I can't make myself. Hang on, let me try. Yeah, I can't start my video. It's okay. I'm perfectly comfortable in my disheveled splendor to be invisible and yet be able to.
But we'd like to see you, if possible. Just see if that can happen. The people in the background can help that happen. It will be fine. All right. So let me go ahead. Jaya, of course.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jaya is, of course, Dr. Jaya Sridhar, although I call her Jaya, but Jaya is a medical doctor by training who works with the community of healthcare specialists and the media to promote a better understanding of public health. She's a former special correspondent who's covered health and medicine for Frontline magazine with the Hindu group. Jaya teaches health journalism at the Asian College of Journalism, which is our neighbor here in Chennai. She's a consultant with Internews Network, works on COVID-19 and the media, especially these days. She's also a founder member of the Center for Security Analysis, where she works on issues relating to health security. Jaya has won a gold medal for reporting on HIV for the Harvard AIDS Institute, part of the Harvard School of Public Health. I didn't know you'd won that award, so congratulations. I think Jaya needs to be unmuted also, because I see that thing muted. Can somebody do that? All right. So welcome, Jaya. Happy to have you here once again. Of course, this is a virtual meet, but I remember you being there on the board in Delhi some years ago. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Privilege, Sashi. Thank you for those very sweet words of introduction. I appreciate it.
D. Krishnan was a good friend of mine. D. Krishnan, of course, to people in Chennai, is no stranger. He joined the Hindu in 1978. He's a veteran photographer. He also teaches photography. And for 12 years till 1990, from 1978, he's covered almost all sport for the Hindu at the national or international level, which incidentally included 2 Cricket World Cups, 2 Asian Games, and 1 Olympics. He's also covered the Bhopal gas tragedy for the Hindu. He took a break, went on to work for the Associated Press, and then came back to the Hindu in 2005 as picture editor. Krishnan headed a team of more than 150 photographers and photo striggers across India. He has documented the city of Madras twice and has a collection of more than 10,000 images of the city. So those of you who are interested in getting those images, you can contact him, but for a price, of course. He helped the Hindu set up their photo archives, organizing and digitizing over 1.5 million images. He has been an adjunct faculty at the Asian College of Journalism for more than 20 years and is currently engaged in documentation photography. Welcome, DK. Good to have you. We needed you this year because we knew we'll get several pictures, and I'm happy that you are on board. Thank you for coming and also for readily agreeing to be a part of this program. And finally, Manjira Mazumdar is a senior journalist and researcher based in Kolkata. She's also a lecturer in print medium and text journalism at the Media Science Department of the Heritage Academy there. Manjira's career incidentally included stints as staff correspondent for the Financial Express. She was also on the editing desk for the Indian Express, and she was feature writer for the Amrita Bazaar Patrika when the newspaper was relaunched. The Amrita Bazaar Patrika was a newspaper that I used to read when I was in Calcutta many years ago. It was a fairly well brought out paper that sadly closed. But she did some work for it when it was relaunched, but I don't think it's there anymore. Manjira has written for the Telegraph, the Times of India, the Statesman Outlook, the Hindu Business Line, and of course our journals, Vidura and Grassroots. And her focus areas have been on development, media, arts, and gender. So, welcome Manjira. Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy you're here. So that makes it 2 women from Kolkata and 2 from Madras. So let me start this. It's a question to all of you, but I'll start with Jaya Sridhar, who actually sort of coordinated the evaluation process for best articles. But this is a question that will go to all of you, and you can take it by turn, starting with Jaya. It's a very simple question. Since there are many journalists here on this program, some of them prize winners, others not, but they would all like to know as much as we do. How was your experience going through the entries, and what was it like, especially in comparison to another year when you were jury member, if there was anything like that at all? Jaya. Jaya, I think we should all remain unmuted because this,
Yeah, the host wasn't allowing.
No, I think I would request the background team to kindly unmute all the speakers here on the panel. Otherwise, it takes time muting, unmuting. Kindly do that. Yes, Jay.
Yeah, before I thank you very much, Shashi, and thank you, Mr. Surinder Singh Oberoi of the Delhi ICRC office, and Mr. Alibi. It was great to listen to all of you. And before I share the experience of what it was like to have the wonderful opportunity to go through so much of passionate, detailed, absolutely wonderful articles and photographs that were submitted for this year's awards, I'd just like to flag up something that just a moment of respect for all the journalists who've lost their lives reporting on COVID in these last few months. There's a report from the Press Emblem Campaign, which is a Geneva-based organization that focuses on press freedom and also on the safety of journalists. And they reported about 64 COVID deaths from 24 countries in May. And going back and checking on that update as of mid-November, there were about 64 reported deaths. There are about 462 deaths. And I was looking at some data for India, and I think we've lost perhaps roughly around just under 50 journalists due to COVID, most of whom were probably reporting on the front lines of this epidemic. So just a moment of respect for them. And I think it's really relevant in this as part of this function that we send a silent salute to them. So it's really sobering, and this is really at the heart of what we're talking about when we're talking about humanitarian reporting and frontline workers. We saw stories, as part of the evaluation process. We came across so many stories that were absolutely heart-wrenching. Some good stories which carried the data, which had the interviews, which had the human face of whether it was COVID or flood or fighting a sand mafia or dying of TB while caring for people with TB. Just such an array of stories. But I think some of the stories really stood out. They were not just good, they were great, because a good story points you to what is happening, but a great story really puts you there. And so some of the stories that we came across in terms of the language they used, the imagery that they evoked, and the data that they supported it with, and the context in which they placed that particular unfolding humanitarian crisis was really what helped us to evaluate those articles and the photographs that we saw. So I think I really don't see too much of a difference in the evaluation process from the earlier years to this year. And I'll tell you why. And I think I would like to save that for when you come back with the next round of comments. But I really think that in a way, I would just like to end by saying that I think humanitarian crisis reporting is sort of really needs to get up and run. It needs to have a larger context, and I'll go into it a little bit more in the next round of discussions. But I think that we are frozen in time, it's stagnating. That's my feeling. And I think there's so much more potential to do better. But my congratulations to all the people who submitted their entries for this year's awards. Thank you, Sashi. Back to you.
Yeah, thanks, Jaya. Interesting comment. So we'll come back to that point later. Ranjita, over, your turn.
Hello. Yeah. Firstly, I must say that I was very impressed by the standard of the entries. There is a kind of feeling, or people say that nowadays the stories focusing on entertainment or feel-good stories, they are more in demand. And the stories on environment or healthcare and all these get backseat, and many of the writers or reporters just run away from it out of frustration. But look at these stories. I mean, the stories that have been submitted are so good. I mean, they're doing their job and they're going to the ground, and also throwing light on some of the areas which a general reader or may not be aware of it. Like like stories like women in the backwaters of UP fighting the sand mine mafia, or somebody who is taking the responsibility of cremating bodies, dead bodies due to the coronavirus pandemic, and even the nearest ones don't go about it. Now, these are stories which really do not get too much focus in the mainstream media. The second thing is, because of the pandemic time, obviously stories submitted have been more on, like ASHA workers or sanitary workers who go on doing their job without the proper, backup, whether in their equipment or their food. But, there were so many stories. So I think all our jury members had a tough time choosing out of them. But, we had to, but it doesn't mean that other stories are less important or less well written. Now, the other thing, I, as a personally writing on development issues, women and gender, etc., etc., I feel very enriched by reading these stories. Firstly, because that a band of writers still, writing on these subjects. Unlike lots of other ideas, okay, the reporters don't write about these stories. And also, I personally feel I have also got a glimpse of many things I did not know myself. And the other thing, we must also admit that publications or websites, they have given the space, to publish these stories. So I also feel they also, deserve a note of appreciation. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Ranjita. Before I go to Mr. Krishnan, Manjira, can you chip in with your experience quickly? Manjira?
Uh, yeah. So thank you, Mr. Nair and Mr. Oberoi, because giving me this opportunity took me back a long time ago when I used to work for the Indian Express, when writing investigative stories and development stories were the order of the day, even in mainstream, publications. But how we have seen over the years, we've had to compromise. So it's good to see these journalists. They are independent and they are freelancers who are actually doing these stories, and they are passionate about it. It comes through, and it was a tough time picking something, but most of the entries were very good, but we had to keep certain parameters in mind. We can come back to that later. So overall, I also felt very enriched reading them, and I loved reading them. I mean, I feel that it was all came to me, by sort of on a platter, and I was reading so many things across the country, which maybe we have no access to otherwise. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Mr. Krishnan, this, of course, is to you, and this is slightly different in the sense, of course, your experience. But, taking pictures is not the same as doing stories, although similar in many ways. But for a photographer to be there at that point, especially in situations that are risky, we are talking about being at the front lines in the time of crisis here, and crisis not necessarily COVID, although COVID has hogged, a lot of space this year and will continue to do so. But, generally, being a photographer is a different ball game. And you've been there, of course, you've been there and done that. And what's your take with your experience and with the picture part? Mr. Krishnan, you have to unmute, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's fine.
Fine. Now, judging this competition was slightly different from others, because normally in the photography competition, what we look for is the composition, the lighting, the color, and various factors connected with photography. But here, I not only had to look for that, but also whether the superhero featured in the pictures were really superheroes. So that was one aspect which all of us had to look into. And although most of the entries, and also for the photographer, a thought for the photographer, not only for the winning photographer, but all the 60 odd photographers who were given the entry, because they had been there on the spot, whether it is COVID, whether it is a fire or flood or whatever calamity, the photographers have risked something to show the world what a calamity means. So that was certainly a relieving aspect of not only the COVID heroes, or not, I wouldn't say COVID heroes, but the superheroes, but also the life of a photojournalist. That also comes out in the entries, because as a photojournalist, you have to be there on the spot, whatever happens. The risk to your life is sort of taken for granted, because you don't think of aspects like whether I'm going to get the COVID or whether I'm going to drown in the flood or anything like that once you have your camera around your neck. And although there were only 3 winners and some places for, I feel all the 60 odd photographers deserve something for the effort they put in to be at the place where the crisis was happening.
Yeah, that's a suggestion. Perhaps we will look at some point, but that's an important point you've made. I get back to Jaya, and she was mentioning about stagnation, I think, and journalists and others needing to run a bit. But maybe she can club that thought with this question I have for her and for the others as well. We won't take too long with this because I think people are waiting for the awards, but we will run through this quickly. Jaya, so how well are journalists coping today, you think, at a time when all of us know that the going isn't easy? You mentioned them not running enough, but the going is not easy. There are different, factors in play, from the risk factor to other factors. How do you think they're doing?
I can't speak for everyone because I'm not sure. I can't look into,
Yeah.
But
generally speaking, yeah.
Yes, generally speaking, it is a huge risk that journalists are taking on the front lines. And it's not just journalists, it's a whole series of frontline workers, the ASHA, the healthcare providers, and so many families that are all taking a risk in this time. And also not at the same time being able to comply. Like, how do you wash your hands when there's no water or soap? You can't access the basic public health prevention measures, so to speak. And that brings me to the point that I was trying to make. I think, humanitarian reporting should snap out of what has become a sort of a formulaic style. And it should bring in some analysis of the variegated context in which these crises are unfolding. Whether acute or chronic. When it's acute, you've seen that what has happened with COVID-19 is, in fact, it has exposed very long festering issues with our very fragile public health system. It is exposing ignorance and poor awareness about health measures that are there across the vast swath of the public. The information campaigns and behavioral interventions haven't really taken off in a big way. That's because people are grappling with a very, very low sense of self-esteem, if I might say that, of constantly being, rubbed out of society, rubbed out of the discourse in so many ways that your self-esteem suffers and you're stripped of dignity. You don't really relate to the concept that you can protect yourself, that you must protect yourself, that you must protect your community, that you must speak out. And I think humanitarian reporting must head in that direction. To quote from your own International Federation of the Red Cross, Red Crescent Society's 2005 World Report, that says, it proclaims people need information as much as they need water, food, medicine, or shelter. But the kind of information that we're seeing in the humanitarian reporting needs to go beyond simply talking about the disaster that it is, and really start equipping people in those same reports with information that a policymaker can act upon, that a local community member who's reading the report can act upon. So we need much more useful, valuable information that can help stir people's thinking about who they are and what they might do and what is their value. And I think that kind of empowering reporting needs to come in, than rather just a stream of disempowering images all the time, which makes you feel bad, but it doesn't really stir you to do too much. So I think that kind of talking to communities needs to happen. And I'll stop there. That's my personal feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, but a quick, corollary question to that, very quick. You can answer quickly. What's your impression of the COVID-19 coverage in India generally? Overall.
I think they've done a great job. In short, they've done a really good job. But if I might add, I think there's a preponderance of perspectives that have come from government sources, and we're not really hearing enough perspectives from communities or from people living on the margins of society, and that really needs to happen. So we see channels and we see the mainstream press echoing each other. It's like a huge echo chamber. You read one report, you read them all. So we really need some perspectives, and I think three important sets of people are being left out of the conversation. We need behavioral scientists telling us what they think about why the public health prevention measures are failing. The second thing we need is the voices of those living, again, communities that are disenfranchised or disempowered for various reasons. We need to hear what's going on with them. And the third thing we need is we need some dissenting voices from the public health community, really to give us a real story behind what is going to happen with access to vaccines, with the logistics, with the distribution, with the equity issues. We need some dissenters, some independent analysis and thinking. We're not getting that. So a lot of the reports are coming out of the pharma companies, out of the vaccine makers, out of the big public health institutions. So we really need some independent thinking and analysis on the subject, so that the public can make up, we can make up our own minds about which is the best health choice for us. So we need to know, are we going to get the vaccine or not? How long away am I from getting a vaccine? Is it really going to protect me? For how many months is it going to protect me? How many doses do I need? Is the government going to give it to me free? We're not seeing that kind of report as yet. It might be premature, but those questions need to be analyzed with many, many voices that are not being reflected in today's mainstream reporting on COVID. Thanks, Shashi.
Some excellent points made. I think journalists here, I think Jaya is headed hand-holding and heading them in what they need to do as we go along. But quickly, Ranjita, you agree with what Jaya is saying?
Yeah, actually I do, because one thing, of course, this was such an unforeseen event, I'll say event, that 2020 will see that this kind of, pandemic. And even the health reporters who have been working in this field, they have been also, I think, grappling, to report what angle. And also, as we read WHO and other experts' reports, this is not the last thing pandemic is going to happen, right? It might, it might be a continuing process, and this itself is going to continue for some time. So, more perspective, as Jaya says, it is needed, and especially analytical analysis, not.
Yeah, hello. I think we broke there. Manjura, if you're there, can you add?
I did a lot of work in the rural areas. People in the backwards, people in the, in the rural areas, in the backwaters, they need more information. That's what I feel. Only we read newspapers at, in urban settings, English paper, whatever. But those people, many of them are very ignorant, and they need to be told, because vaccine is on the way for coming. The right information is very important, I think.
Manjura, you agree with what's being said so far? Both of them seem to be echoing a similar point of view. What's yours, Manjura?
Yes, I do agree. But if I may say so separately, is that see, COVID, if we zero on in COVID for these the stories, I find that COVID has challenged all of us. And what has happened is like people associated with public health and all, definitely they are taking a different view, and the way the news is getting reported. First, we're getting the facts or whatever, but if I could go back to the stories, I found some very interesting nuances, like the sanitation workers. They are treated like they are treated like untouchables, and COVID has become like another untouchability. So they have become like doubly marginalized, in society. They are doing all the dirty work, but at the same time, they are being kept at, like they are actually doing the work of, say, I feel doctors and all, it's part of their duty to be in the hospital, and they are doing their work. But the sanitation workers and these people, they are coming out to do, and nobody is really thinking about them also. You know what I mean?
Like, what's your view on what's been said so far about the need for independent analysis, some research, as they say, perspective, rather than just reporting? No, do you see a lack of such things? Do you see a lack of it?
Of course. Like, see, that's what I said. When you have the reporting, we just get the report. That's okay. What is beyond that? We need to get more of that. The analysis, public health, and how about the vaccine and everything. Too much of information. But what I'm saying is that these little things, like when we are locked up at home, who are the people who are going out and actually working, and what's happening to them? like the daily wages, they were. So I feel a lot of things are connected with the issue also, which we can do a lot of other stories, in the community.
Mr. Krishnan?
As Jaya said, yes, information is absolutely necessary and the right information. What is happening nowadays is people pick up information from the social media, and most of the time it's way off the mark. And again, I do not know whether I could say that the official information often gets politicalized, and that is where we are dealing with whether we believe the politicalized information or the social media information.
Jaya, you agree with that? That information is getting politicized sometimes or often or whatever? I see your hand up.
Yeah, I mean, we all know that information is getting politicized. And I think I sort of obliquely referred to that, whose perspectives we're really hearing and not being able to question it enough. But I just like to hark back to what Mr. Alibi said in the beginning, and he made a reference to the infodemic. And I think the mainstream media, we are also responsible for sort of promoting this infodemic. And as Manjira and Ranjita and Mr. Desikan have pointed out, the next pandemic might happen. It may be just around the corner, but the time to start preparing to report better on it based on the experience that we're getting from this one is between pandemics, not when the pandemic is actually broken around us. And I think that applies to any humanitarian crisis. I mean, humanitarian crisis just doesn't happen overnight. Of course, yes, if it's a tsunami or it's a volcanic, eruption or something like that. But a good proportion of these are things that occur, slow burn issues which are happening under our noses over a period of time, and systems are breaking down as people are getting left out, whose voices are being suppressed and whose lands are being taken away or whose access to natural resources is vanishing. And then you end up at a point when, you see it as a crisis in all its stark, ugliness. But I think we need to start preparing to follow and monitor these issues over a period of time. We can't just dive in, during the flood and do it. We have to sort of anticipate what's going to happen, looking at what's happening to the environment in a particular hamlet in the Himalayas, and look at it and be able to predict it and forecast it. And that's how we can build up our own reputation as involved, ethical, committed journalists and commentators. We have to see these things before they happen, equip ourselves with the vocabulary to report on it. Today, vaccine reporting doesn't seem to be, bringing out the difference between efficacy and effectiveness. Efficacy is what you see in a protected clinical environment. Effectiveness is how it's going to play out in the real world. So a 90% efficacy of a vaccine may not really measure up to anything close to that. But we're creating an illusion in the minds of the public just because we don't bother to go and look up a basic vaccine glossary. And I think that's the kind of shoddiness. We have to do our homework. There's no getting away from it. You're going to report on health. We have to do our homework. We have to, spend some time looking at it just like we would for any other thing. So if we want to build up our reputation as good commentators, as people with a heart and a mind, and we have to report with our feet as well, be there on the ground, I think it's going to take a lot of hard work and a lot of commitment over a period of time, not just, parachuting into a humanitarian crisis at the last minute and coming out with a really good story as well. That too is needed. But I think this long-term engagement and long-term cultivation of sources who know something about the issue, who are there on the ground, building the relationship with the community on the ground over a period of time, that is what will really make our stories go from good to great. So I'll leave it there. I think spoken too much. Thanks, Shashi.
Also, I think things like accuracy, brevity, clarity, and also bringing some kind of dignity to stories. I think that's also important. Let's get back to journalists and photojournalists and talk people there, because this afternoon is about them really. We all know that they are. The media is going through tough times. Journalists are going through tough times. There is work pressure. Work is not like how it used to be in the good old days when you could file one story or maybe two stories a day, and you go and have your cup of tea and go home or whatever. But now you have to do a story for print. You'll have to do it online. You might have to go out and tweet. So there's tremendous work pressure on the one side. On the other side, you have, other pressures. Now there are pressures about your own job. You don't know whether you are going to be employed tomorrow. because there have been several journalists, many journalists who've lost jobs during COVID. I don't want to get into the numbers and all that, but people I know, at least in several places in India, have lost jobs. There have been pay cuts. There have been salaries that have not been paid, and all kinds of things. So, in such a situation, to still produce good work, and please remember, I think all of you will agree when I say there is also a lack of mentoring happening because nobody has the time to mentor anyone anymore. I would like each one of you, starting again with Jaya, to say what is your impression about this and how can we encourage young journalists now? I mean, what is it that we can do as senior journalists? Yeah.
I think these awards, this kind of recognition and appreciation for one risking life and limb and really telling the stories that matter. I think this itself is a huge motivation. Most journalists come into journalism with, a vague sort of an idea that they want to change status quo. And I think that to preserve that, it gets so trampled upon within a few months of joining a media organization. And I think there's got to be a space, a little green lung somewhere from senior journalists who can always, sort of mentor and encourage and nurture those, whatever feelings of idealism are left. And I think that's really what burns bright as a flame inside you and helps you to bring quality to your work. So I think recognition and encouragement and time, it really takes time. I think conversations are very, very important among the journalist fraternity to really keep each other going. And I think access to information, good information, sound information is very important. We're seeing such a lot of misinformation and disinformation online. And I think journalists need to be able to get pointed to good sources of reliable information by the seniors, by the editors, by the media houses and others that they are in touch with. I think that's a second major thing to sort of get a better perspective. So I think these are some of the things, Shashi, really. I think we need to have, right now, it's a very bleak media environment with so many people losing their jobs. It's not fun being a journalist right now during this time of recession or during a time when your health is threatened by an airborne illness that doesn't have a cure and the promise of a vaccine is so far away. So I think there needs to be some kind of what shall I say, a psychosocial support system for journalists. I don't know if it's been organized on a large scale, even at the state level or at a district level. Where do journalists go to really refresh themselves or just to cry on someone's shoulders? We don't know. So I think those kinds of psychosocial support networks are very, very key. And I don't think that that's happening. So these are some of the things that I think might help journalists.
Yeah. Thanks, Jay. Mr. Krishnan, what good time to be in journalism?
In journalism, any time is a good time, irrespective of whether you're going to be employed or not. Because
I knew you would say that.
Media. Because there's always a social media where you could protect your ideas. But I feel, besides whatever Jaya said, financial security is very, very important for a journalist who's risking his life in COVID times on floods. So something happens to him, he maybe loses life or maybe lose a limb or two. He's got to be financially secure. He's got to get enough compensation for his family to live comfortably. See, I know government gives out doles of 2 lakhs or 5 lakhs. That's nothing. In the present context, a minimum, I would say, of maybe about 75 lakhs to a crore of rupees, if for loss of life for the family, something like that should be worked out so that the journalist feels very secure and it takes a little more risk to be in the place of action and produce that picture for you. That is, take the purpose of a photojournalist is to take the people who are seeing the photograph to the place of action. That he would be able to do with mind as rest. So he can't be thinking of his family, what would happen to his family, if he's going to be injured. That type of thought, if it is taken off, and if he's sure that his family is going to be financially secure, he would be able to produce better work.
Ranjita, looking back at your earlier years and now, and what Jaya and Krishnan have said, what's your view on encouraging journalists and when the situation isn't good? And are we doing enough? Are organizations doing enough?
Actually, when I started out and there were I mean, at least I can talk about myself. I could do the stories I wanted to do, whether it is women and gender. I used to write a lot on HIV/AIDS. So all those I could do, and they got publicized. But the thing is that later, many of the houses, they changed their, focus areas. And as I was telling earlier, many of the younger journalists said, "Oh, if we write, we don't get encouragement to go do the story and all that." So this is one. The other thing, as I was telling earlier, uh, Joy was talking about a support system. It's a long series of investigative or whatever subject. You need the support from the organization, right? One cannot, whether it is the publication house, whether the newspaper house, or whichever organization is supporting them, the journalists needs that support. Otherwise, I mean, like Desikan was saying, you can't just work on free air, right? So even to inspire, it's right that senior journalists can handhold or guide or whatever, but financially those journalists need to have some support. Otherwise, how they can continue, and especially in these very, very tough times. That I feel is a very important. And this kind of award is a very, very encouraging, and the people who have done it, even those who may not have gone the top award, but they know they have done a good job. But to continue, they need some kind of support financially. It's very important, I think.
Yeah, Manjira, quickly. I think I've been already tapped on the back twice for time. So Manjira, quickly. You have to unmute.
I agree.
Manjira, unmute.
Yeah, I agree with the other panelists regarding the opportunities and the financial rewards or whatever. But I'm just taking a different track in everything, and I'm just saying that the journalists and the writers have to go out and create some sort of a space and create ideas, new ideas. There are lots of stories to be still done. Whenever there's something like this, there is the mental health issue, which is a result again of the. So there are ideas. So please think about those ideas, because it all starts with a nice idea.
Jaya, what would you tell young journalists or journalism students, for example, who want to enter the profession? Quickly, would you agree that it's a good time, like Mr. Krishnan said?
It's worth it. If you feel impelled to tell the stories that you want to tell, and if you're a keen observer of what's going on around you, if you have an unquenchable curiosity to find out why things happen the way they do, then by all means, it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it.
All right. Any quick word from any of you before I close?
I would say all photojournalists, photographers or journalists should work not only on the official stories, official thing which is given out by the office or the institution, but also work on some specific stories, long-term, short-term projects on his own. Whenever he has time, he could always work on, develop these long-term and short-term projects.
Thanks. Thank you all very much. I think it's been a very interesting conversation. We could have gone on and on, but we have the time constraint, and the ICRC team in Delhi is egging me on because there are journalists waiting to know who's won what prize. So thank you all very much to all the jury members for that conversation, and over to the ICRC team, which is of course led by Mr. Surendra Oberoi. Oberoi, I must mention, has been a pillar of support for this program, not just now, but over the 14 years. And it's thanks to him that the PII-ICRC awards have grown in stature. So thank you once again, Mr. Oberoi. It's good to see you back after a long time. And over to you and to Tanvi. Both of you can take over now to what will be perhaps the most interesting part of the program.
Thank you very much, Shashi sir, and thank you to jury members as well. Good afternoon, I'm Tanvi. I'm part of the communication team at ICRC New Delhi, and my co-host this afternoon is Mr. Surendra Oberoi. You already know about him from what Shashi sir has just said. He's the political advisor and the communication supervisor as well. Just before we proceed, a couple of announcements. We will be sharing a QR code with all of you, all of our viewers, and a link in the chat box as well for you to access all the winning articles and the photographs. And for the winners, just a very quick announcement. So we will be calling out your names and the prize that you will be receiving, and which will be followed by a short clip. And after that, we would love to hear from you for very briefly. Over to you, Surendraji.
Yeah, thank you, Tanvi, and hello, everyone, and welcome back once again. I'm continuously attending this particular event, and I've seen it growing, and how most of the journalists, friends of mine, have been looking forward for the humanitarian reporting. And as said by most of the jury member, as well as by the chief guest, that yes, it's the duty of the media persons to be at the front line, but also their own duty, how to give first for themselves. They don't have to become the news themselves. The security for their own self is the most important thing. And for that, lots and lots of trainings are also required as they keep on covering or breaking the stories. Having said that, let's go directly now on to the prize distribution. This, of course, is my first virtual prize distribution session. Unlike earlier times, all the 13 earlier times, we had been all together face to face, and we used to celebrate after the prize distribution. But let me start first these awards, best articles on humanitarian subject, the writing ones, which are published more or less, and then we'll go for the second category, which is for the photograph. So in the best article category, we received, as mentioned by most of the jury members, the competition was tough, and this year we had to increase the number of prizes also because of the competition and the way people who had been participating in it. So a lot of these were covered not only for this COVID pandemic, but many of the stories were also focused on other focal diseases as well as on the floods. So several other angles were also taken into it. And we have looked into the climax, the impact of the humanitarian impact for this particular story. So let me start with the third prize, which is, of course, cash of 40,000 rupees, a beautiful trophy, and a certificate and some gift items, which we'll be sending by post, and the cash prize by late evening or by tomorrow morning, the winners are going to directly receive in their bank accounts. So let me now announce the prizes. The third prize in the best article category goes to Miss Menaka Rao for her piece published in the News Laundry website underlining the work of ASHA workers who are battling the coronavirus disease without safety care or training. This, of course, was new for everyone. There are a lot of challenges, but how the frontline workers, especially the women health workers, went from colony to colony, people to people in difficult areas and difficult times. And many a times in the early days, they had a lot of challenge. So congratulations, Menaka Rao. And we'll show you now a clip for her. Once again, congratulations, Menaka. Now, Menaka, if you're listening to me right now, can you please say a few words about this prize? Over to you, Menaka.
Hi, thanks a lot. You can hear me?
Very well. Please go ahead.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to say I wrote this, like in April, immediately after the pandemic started. So when people were scared to step out of the house, these women were basically sent to just, go door to door. They were getting abused. Most of them were working without pay. They didn't have any protective equipment. We didn't know enough about the virus, but they still went out and they could communicate in that kind of crisis. And the only thing I want to say is that we need to recognize them as very effective, fearless communicators, and that's how we should something that often doctors are not able to do. So yeah, that's all I want to say.
Yeah, thank you, Menaka. And on behalf of Mr. Yaya LB, who is our chief guest, who personally cannot hand you over, but we have taken an authorization from him. He's sitting next to you in your picture. So you welcome, and many a times whenever you are in Delhi, you're most welcome to come and you'll receive your awards. Once again, congratulations on behalf of the chief guest. And we are acting like a courier between the chief guest and between you. Congratulations once again.
Okay. Second prize now in the best article category. It is a tie this year, and the award is shared by Jigyasa Mishra and Varsha Tolkalkar. While Jigyasa's piece for the People's Archive of Rural India focuses on the community's fight against the sand mafia in the backwaters of UP, Varsha's piece for the Swaddle is about the challenges faced by sanitation workers who have been on the front lines during the pandemic. We will just play the clip for both of them, and after that, we request both of them to one by one say a few words. That's a little bit about the article written by Varsha, and we will play it now. Congratulations to both of you, Jigyasa and Varsha. Now may I request Jigyasa to first say a few words, followed by Varsha.
Thank you so much, Tanvi. I hope I'm audible, but I still cannot start my video.
Okay, the backend team will take care of it.
She can speak.
Yeah. Please continue speaking. We can all
Yeah, I'll
hear you.
continue speaking. Thank you so much. It's a privilege, and I'm really, really happy. And I would like to dedicate this to the women who who, despite of their life threats, chose to fight for their rights, even in the time of pandemic. Because I went to Banda, a district, very small district in Bundelkhand, where the situation was so scary. It was so scary. The women used to get life threats almost on daily basis, and they would still walk through the river to the mines, and take care of the family as well as the battle they were fighting. And special thanks to Mr. Sainath, entire team of PARI, People's Archives of Rural India, who allowed me to go there, spend 2 days there with the women and walk to the mines in those times. So I'm really very thankful to Mr. Sainath, to the entire team of PARI, Bini for the photo editing, and Sainath and Sharmila for story editing, of course, because a lot of effort goes in editing the story, obviously, and editing the photographs. So yeah, thank you.
Congratulations again. Varsha, are you with us? Would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, hi, thank you, PII and ICRC for selecting me for the story. I'm really thankful to all my sources, editor, and colleagues. Without them, it's really not possible to do stories. And my team at Swaddle, Rajvi, Lizel, and Carla, who gave me the chance for the story. And special, like, I want to mention all these West Pickers, sanitation workers who were struggling so hard and nobody recognized them. Like now they are not being recognized for work they are doing. They are keeping the city clean. So yeah, it's for them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Congratulations once again, and I would just request the winners, please enable your cameras if possible. So
We
now finally,
trying to, but it says cannot start your video because the host has disabled it.
no worries, and looking forward whenever you visit New Delhi in the good times. We are looking forward to receive you here.
Definitely. Thank
Thank
you so
you
much.
once. So then we finally go to the winner who has bagged the first prize in the best article category. She is none other than Maitri Porcha for her piece published in the Hindu Business Line, underscoring the high rate of infection and death among workers at one of Asia's largest tuberculosis facilities. And that happens to be in one of the most developed places, that is Mumbai. So she wins a 100,000 rupees as a cash, a trophy, a certificate. Congratulations, Maitri. And we are going to show one of your clips, some of your work very quickly, a very brief sort of a thing. And Maitri, who's now staff writer at the Ken News website. Congratulations once again, Maitri. She has been writing on health policy, technology, business. And may I now request you to speak few words and congratulations on behalf of all the participants. There are a lot of messages which are appearing on our message straw.
Can you hear
Over to
me?
you. Very well. Please go ahead.
Can you see me? Icons? Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak on this platform. And so my story basically involved writing about over 100 TB workers who were infected with tuberculosis while caring for the TB patients in the Shivri TB hospital, which is a 1,000-bedded hospital dedicated to tuberculosis in Bombay. And during the course of my reporting, I realized that up till I think 70 of them odd had died. And the thing is that they had not only been infected with TB once, but they had been infected and reinfected and then again reinfected with TB over and over and over again until they died. And some of the worst cases were found to be infected with tuberculosis for over 7 to 8 years. I mean, this is unimaginable because and they involved doctors, they involved gardeners, they involved cooks, they involved liftmen, they involved telephone operators. So it was not only the ward boys or the nurses who were infected, but they involved people cutting across occupations working in that hospital. And I would really want to thank my editor who gave me the opportunity to write a good 3,000 to 6,000 words on the story, which would have been absolutely impossible without the support of Mr. Srinivasan and also Vishakha Desarkar, who's the editor of the Saturday magazine of Business Line, which is Blink. And I would also like to thank Thakur Foundation for funding this story, because if you do not have faith on your reporter and you do not give them time to pursue like something like this, then they'll never be able to do justice to the story. And I took a good 6 months to do this story. I went back to Bombay again and again and again until I got all the data and the case studies and the official responses. So I would really urge you to read, and I thank you for recognizing this. Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Matthew, once again. And now we have two special mention prizes in the best article category. The first special mention goes to Sanket Jain for his article in the first post about the everyday heroes who saved thousands of lives during the floods in Kolhapur. Sanket is also with us. We'll show a clip of him and then we would request Sanket to speak a couple of words, please. Yes, Sanket, could you please speak a couple of words, please?
Yes, I hope I'm audible.
Very well. Please go ahead.
Yes, first of all, thank you to the PI and ICRC team for this special award. So last year when I was reporting floods, I found that rescue forces were not able to reach several villages, especially remote communities, and they were deep inside. So this led me to a very basic question, like who is saving so many, who is saving thousands and thousands of lives there? And that's when I decided that let's go deep inside and see what is actually happening. And when I went deep inside, I found that there were several people who were working hard, and these were everyday people, the farmers, laborers, uh, and they were working hard enough to ensure that no one dies, no one drowns in the flood. So that's how. And when I went much deeper into it, I found that there's a collective solidarity amongst all the people. Like everyone is working hard without caring for what is actually happening. I mean, without worrying about what is happening to them, but they were at the forefront. So that led me to that's how I found this story, and I'm thankful to First Post for publishing it, and also to the editor Rohini, like who gave such a big space. Like it was more than 3,200 word story. So a big thank you to everyone, and I would like to dedicate this awards to everyday heroes.
Thank you, Sanket. And I think your editor Rohini had also earlier won one of our awards long back. The other special mention is award to Faisal Bakili for his piece in Chitralekha, a Gujarati regional weekly, highlighting the work of the man who disposes of unclaimed bodies of COVID-19 victims. You all know that how difficult it was in the early days and how people were so afraid to even touch the dead bodies. And we have also run several of these dead body management with charts and other things which you can easily find on our blog. Any sort of a support for the dead body management, ICRC is always there to help you and support you. We'll show you now Faisal's clip first, and then I request Faisal to please speak a few words for your good work which you have done here. Faisal, can we have your words, please? Yeah, we can see you.
Yes, thank you very much for recognition. This will give us some boost of me. I am infected from last 9 days, so I'm in home isolation, attending with the COVID infection. So this will give me some boost up to and more immunity to do my more work after my isolation is over. And this is the one of the stories which nation should know. So I did that. You, as you mentioned, that dead bodies of COVID was the very early in April when we started after March, when first person died in Kolkata and some in Bangalore. The people are dumped it in somewhere. So we are blessed in Surat that we have Ekta Trust who is doing this work from so many years, and they started in COVID also. So up till now, they are buried almost 2,300 bodies of COVID infected or suspected. Thank you for recognition.
Thank you, Faisal, and get well soon. So all the listeners who are here, and I'm sure the happiness bond should reach you, and you will be soon out back into the front line working as you have been there. And take care of yourself. Over to you, Tanvi. And these were the all awards of the print media. And I once again, on behalf of our chief guest, Mr. Yaya LLP, consider that these awards are being given to you by the chief guest. And if you need any of these appreciation letters and other things, he'll be more than happy to write to you. Thank you very much.
Congratulations to all the winners of the best article category once again, and wish Faisal a speedy recovery. Now we move on to the next set of awards, which will be for the best photograph. And the third prize goes to Rinku Raj for his picture in Malayalam Manorama. It shows nursing staff providing care to the sick and the elderly and spreading much needed hope among patients during the pandemic. Rinku Raj has been with Malayalam Manorama since 2008 and is based in Thiruvananthapuram. Let's have his clip now. Many congratulations, Rinku. Would you like to say a few words about the photograph and the story? Over to you.
Hello, good evening all. Big thank you, President of India, ICRC, for selecting me for the second time for this award. Happy to receive this award on behalf of Malayalam Manorama. This was a photo clicked during the time of COVID from Pala, Mar Medicity, Kottayam district, Kerala. Actually, the healthcare persons are the one who emerged as gods during COVID. And the image shows the positive feeling from nurses and the happiness they are giving to the society. That's all. Thanks, everyone. Big thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
And now the second prize winner in the best photograph category is Ashwin Prasad. His winning picture was published in the New Indian Express, shows crematorium staff covered in personal protection equipment carrying out the last rites of a COVID-19 victim. Again, you know how, as I said earlier, it's very important in these type of situations, especially in the pandemic, the dead body management is so important. And journalists also need to know a little of some sort of a training, how to cover these type of things. Otherwise, an exposure to smallest infection can be quite dangerous for them. So congratulations, Ashwin. And now may I request for his clip, please. request Ashwin to speak a few words, please?
Sir, am I audible?
Very well. Please go ahead.
I feel honored and delighted to be one of the winner of 14th PII-ICRC Award, sir. This year, 2020, has provided us with different experience in life. Covering this pandemic is like a story. This story as a beginning, and we are in the middle part now when we are yet to know the conclusion as well. So this story, as a photojournalist, uh, I was let into lives of people who were struggling on everyday basis. The demise of a loved one can bring undescribable pain, more so when you are unable to touch, see, and say goodbye to lost one last time. There were several such families immersed in guilt and grief, unsure of how to handle this situation. The photo which I took was a group of volunteers who were the real warriors, ensuring a dignified burial even when their family members were away. Nowadays, I see a lot of people who are not maintaining social distance and not using mask anywhere, thinking that this coronavirus has become the part of their life. And I think my photo will be a reminder if to reminder to the tough days that we are yet to come as a community. I would like to thank my friends and family and my organization, the New Indian Express, for supporting me and backing me up during the tough times. And um, I would like to congratulate all the winners of this ICRC API Awards. And I would like to dedicate this award to all the frontline workers who are battling in the time of crisis. And I would like to share this award to my family members, like my wife, my mother, and my father, my in-laws, my wife Sharmila, and my twin sons Sachin and Sanav, and the new one who have come to our family. So I would like to congratulate all the people who have participated, and of course the committee, the PIA and ICRC committee, and for having this award event. So thank you.
Thank you, Ashwin, and congratulations once again. Now we move to the first prize in the Best Photograph category. Please, everyone, put your hands together for Manvinder Bashish, who is the winner in the Best Photograph category, and his picture as well from one of the busiest crematoriums in Delhi. It's titled "The Undertakers" and shows the staff performing funeral services during the pandemic. Let's have this clip now. Thank you. Manvinder, would you like to say a few words?
Good evening. I'm audible?
Yes, good evening.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Yeah, I want to thank the member of the jury for selecting my pictures and honoring me with this award. Undertaker of Pappu and Harinder who work to cremate COVID victim and Nigampur Ghat every day. I think that's in November, maybe they uh, cremate almost 5 to 600 bodies. They daily work every day and only earn 8,000 rupees. Only the 8,000 rupees. I this award dedicate to my real heroes and my thanks to my PTI team, my boss, my editor, and thanks to PII-ICRC.
Thank you. Congratulations once again from all of us at the ICRC and PII.
Thank you, Mavendra, and once again, congratulations for winning the first prize. You will get the cash prize on your account, a trophy, and also some gift items. And you live in Delhi, and hopefully to see you soon.
Yeah,
So, in the
definitely.
best article category this year, we had 2 special mentions, as I said earlier. Similarly, in the photograph category, also we have got 2 special prizes, and these awards goes to Arul Horizon of the Indian Express and P. Jayesh of Mathrubhumi Delhi. Both these pictures showcase the courage and compassion of healthcare workers and first responders during the crisis. Now, may I request Arul to say a few words, followed by Jayesh, please. But before that, we'll run Arul's clip and then Jayesh's clip also.
Hello.
Yeah, Arul, would like to hear from you first.
Hi, good evening. Uh, yeah. Hi. First of all, my sincere gratitude to PII and ICRC for giving me this award. And as I am receiving this award, I am in home quarantine. Actually, I have all my family tested positive yesterday after working for last 9 months in during COVID. But anyway, that picture was I shot during one of my assignment. The health workers are attending one of the lady from a street, and she's a homeless lady, a female, and probably that may be the first time uh, somebody is picked up from the street, and it was during the month of May, I believe, the the beginning of the COVID, and we really had any information about the precaution and all. I mean, all other things. But anyway, uh, and this COVID had made me more human. I came to come to see a lot of things during COVID. Anyway, thank you very much for this award. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Arul, and get well soon. And this shows that already the 2 winners who have been directly affected and how important it is for all of us to take the precautions. Over to you, Jayesh.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Good evening to one and all. Hello.
Yes, please go ahead. We are very clearly hearing you.
Okay. Thank you. Good evening to one and all. First of all, let me express my joy and sincere gratitude for having received this esteemed award. I took the photograph from Puttumala in Wayanad district in Kerala, where 17 people passed away in a landslide. I reached the location of the disaster early in the morning on August 9, 2019, when it was pouring down heavily in the place. Only a handful of people were involved in rescue operations since it was nearly impossible for people to move about in the area due to the landslide. Photograph I clicked was very definitely an unforgettable sight. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And over to you, Tanvi.
Yes, thank you, Jayesh and Arul. Now, for the first time this year, as part of the PII-ICRC Awards, we have appreciation awards for photographers who did not make it to the top awards, but they captured some very vivid and moving photographs, and I would just announce their names. They are Narendra Bhaskar of the Indian Express, Patabi Raman from the New Indian Express, Prashant Tharote from Lokmat Times, and SL Shant Kumar, who is with the Times of India. Congratulations to all of you. Congratulations to all the winners from the Best Article and Best Photograph category. This brings us to the next part of the awards, which is just delivering the thank you note, for which I would pass on the mic to Surendraji once again.
So thank you, all of you, for winning the awards once again. And our chief guest, Mr. Yahya, would you like to say a word of congratulations to all the winners?
Yes, thank you, Surender, of course. I really want to join you to congratulate all the candidates, but also special congratulations to the winners. I really was humbled and honored to participate to this 40th edition. My special thanks also to the panelists. I learned a lot. It was insightful. It's very interesting not only to praise the work done, but they didn't shy away to bring a critical view and to mention some improvement area. I want here also to reiterate my thanks and how we are proud, Mr. Sashi Nair, for our partnership. And I want to confirm my commitment, our commitment as ICRC regional delegation here, not only to continue this partnership and of course these flagship events, but we are ready, and I'm here taking maybe my colleagues by surprise. I'm open to any proposal aiming at maybe fostering this partnership to other initiatives, and we are ready to consider whatever proposal to support reporters and photographs working in this field and reporting about humanitarian issues and topics. Thank you again, and believe our readiness to foster and to deepen this partnership and to continue this work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Yahya, once again. And lastly, let me, on behalf of International Committee of the ICRC and Press Institute of India, I thank all the participants who have been with us for the last 1.5 hours. All the 4 panelists, and we are really thankful for the special time which you have given for this humanitarian reporting and judging them. And whenever we have called upon you, you were more than willing to support us. And I'm literally looking forward to meet you, not only on this program, but maybe some of the other programs, as Mr. Yahya also mentioned, that he's open to bring up whatever next steps which we can take over. And also I am thankful to the Pegam network, especially Shivam Kumar, Akriti Bhatia, for all their technical support. Without their technical supports, we would not have been able to have this thing. Imagine we are all sitting in separate places. Even the technical team is separately sitting in different areas. Still, they have been managing to coordinate, bring in all the slides. It's just, and this is all we are learning, the new normal, the new way. So once again, thank you very much, the chief guest, the panelists, my Red Cross colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, several of the guests who are here. Looking forward that next year we meet in the good times together and celebrate. And I, on behalf of Mr. Shashinair, Mr. Yahya Albi, Tanvi, who is sitting with me, Ashish Bhatia of ICRC, and several staff members of the Press Institute of India, who have been running the live programs right now. Thank you, all of you, for participating. Have a lovely evening and a lovely weekend, and stay safe, all of you. Looking forward to meet you personally one of these days. Bye-bye, and have a good time.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Participants are